Hello everyone and welcome back to Closet Gaming. Today we're going to take a look at For Honor. This online medieval brawler gives you a chance to become a hero of one of three factions: the Knights, the Vikings, or the Samurais that engage in battle for control over the world in its tactical combat. You can currently pre-order it on Steam for €59.99 and its official release will happen on the 14th of February. So unless you've been living under a rock, you probably heard of For Honor. This latest Ubisoft title has been very heavily hyped in the past few weeks, especially after its closed beta. Before I go any further in the review, I feel like I should mention two things. This kind of game is not really my style, and I'm really bad at it. Perhaps that's why I don't enjoy it that much. Well, now that is out of the way, this game gives you the opportunity to join one of its three factions: the European-style Knights, Nordic Vikings, or Japanese Samurais. Each of these factions then has three playable classes, each with its own distinct playstyle, allowing each type of player to choose a character that fits them. I personally enjoyed the Nobushi class the most, as its long range allowed me to stay a nice distance from my foes, giving me that breathing space I needed because I suck at the game. As the genre suggests, combat is the meat of the game, and the combat itself is done in a very interesting and impressive well done way. A lot of the time you will be dodging more attacks than dishing them out. Both attacking and dodging can be done from three basic angles: up, left, and right. You need to pay attention to where exactly from is your opponent's attack coming so you can block it. And you yourself need to be unpredictable so your opponents aren't able to easily block your attacks. Other than that, you can dodge, which you will do often to get a bit of breathing space and consolidate your position. And last of all, you're able to break through your opponent's defenses, throwing them off balance, giving you a chance to strike. Most hilariously, this can be used to throw enemies off cliffs, giving you a quick victory. What I find very nice are almost fighter game elements that are added to For Honor, as each character has a very respectable number of combo moves that can be achieved by using attacks in different order. A list of these is immediately available in game, so you don't have to spend time looking them up on the internet or even trying to figure them out on your own by randomly button mashing. So let's now take a closer look at the classes, starting with the Knight ones. First is the Warden, the most stereotypical of the Knights. He uses a long sword and is very balanced both in terms of attack and defense. Second in line is the Conqueror. Using a flail and a shield, he is very tanky and can chain attacks to deal devastating amounts of damage. Then we have the Peacekeepers, assassins of the Knights Order, and I'm betting these will get a ton of play because they sort of look like characters from Assassin's Creed. They use a combination of sword and dagger to deal quick bursts of damage and then going out of the way with their speed and agility until another chance to strike comes up. Now for the Vikings. First is the Raider. These are very similar to Wardens, but instead of sword, you're using a big two-handed axe. Then we have the Warlord, the Viking equivalent of the Conqueror. Again, he is using a sword and a shield. And last, but certainly not least, there is the Berserker, a quick attacking hero utilizing two one-handed axes to deal a blurry of attacks. And for the Samurais, we have the Kenseis, who use Nadachi weapon in a balance between attack and defensive stances. The second class available under the Samurai banner is the Nobushi, the only hybrid class available in the beta, which uses a Nigatana staff to deal damage from a larger distance than any other class. And the last hero class we are left to talk about it is the Orochi, using the revered katana swords to deal quick bursts of damage. What is really nice is that you can play any of these 9 classes no matter the faction you have chosen to be a part of. Each of these factions even has an additional hero already announced, and those should be most likely available on launch. In terms of the available game modes the beta offered, first and probably the most enjoyable for me was the Duel. Here engage in one-on-one combat with an opponent, nothing more, nothing less. And I'm gonna guess that most players will be spending their majority of their time with this game in this mode, as it provides the quickest way to get into a match, and the matches themselves are very quick as well. On a very similar note, we have the Brawl mode, in which you go into 2 versus 2 battles. Team play is the key to victory here, as if you manage to split the opposing team while you're attacking as one, it is very hard for your opponents to defeat you. Again, this mode will be played quite often, as it provides quick action without much waiting for matchmaking. Then we have the Skirmish mode. Again, you engage in battle against your foes, but this time you are trying to get to 1000 points. Whichever team gets there first wins. But it's still just killing your opponent's heroes, as that is the way you accumulate points, but this time in 4-on-4 action. I gotta say, I didn't like this mode very much. First of all, there were bots very often here instead of players, and secondly, this mode is very chaotic and getting split from your team is very easy. And if you're alone against 2 or more foes, you will die very quickly unless you're very skilled. Very similar to skirmish is elimination, where you still maintain 2 teams of 4 players, but this time it's deathmatch mode. You don't get any respawns, though your companions can still revive you. This mode will very heavily rely on team play and will probably be the most played with Brawl and Duel. And the last mode, Dominion, is essentially a King of the Hill sprinkled with a bit of MOBA mechanics, where there are 3 zones that need to be controlled to gain points towards victory. Of course, you can also gain points by killing other heroes and even killing mobs that are present on the central point, but the main bulk of points is gathered by controlling the objectives. If For Honor ever becomes an esport, which certainly is possible these days, this with the Brawl mode is the most likely contestant for the mode that will be used for it in my opinion. Lastly, we should talk a bit about the 2 progression methods used in For Honor. The first is your personal progression. You can level each of your heroes, gaining access to so-called feats, abilities that can give you an advantage in battle. These range from heals and rallying calls up to artillery strikes to deal damage to whole areas of the map. Other than feats, you also gain steel after matches. Steel can be used to recruit more heroes to your aid, basically unlocking them for you to play, upgrading your equipment, and even buying whole packs that give you more equipment for a specific hero. What I found very nice is that you can decide what class the equipment will be for. And the other nice thing is that when you like a particular piece of equipment's looks, but the stats are different than what you're going for, you can change its looks while retaining the stats. Secondly, we have the faction progression. As you play, you will get resources that can be used towards the general war efforts, and these war efforts allow your faction to conquer zones in which the battles will take place, and give you small buffs and small nerfs to your opponents depending on how well your faction is doing at a time. I don't believe most people will really care about this progression, but maybe I will be surprised and people will care a lot, but I doubt it. So I will say, even though I'm not really the type of player who plays these games often, For Honor did really capture my attention. The thing that really drove me forward was the game's general theme, and the heroes are depicted in such an awesome way that you just want to play them more. The combat itself was captivating as well. Having to always be on your toes, trying to read and surprise your opponents never gets old. On the other hand, I'm not really a big fan of the progression system, though it does seem to have that even low players can engage in battles easily without heavy limitations. But still, having a progression system that actually gives advantages to your playstyle takes at least a bit of skill out of the question. So if I'm to summarize the gameplay, it's fun, tactical, fluid, and very engaging, though sometimes a bit chaotic. The game modes and the classes give you a large number of choices on how exactly you want to play the game, and the customization gives you the option to personalize your playstyle even further. The issues of the game come mainly from its progression system, where the new players will have a slight disadvantage against people who have already played for a while, but luckily the difference isn't that huge. So now we should talk about the graphics of the game. And as you can see from the video, the game looks just amazing. The textures are detailed, all the animations are fluid and look more than awesome. This combined with a great choice of art makes For Honor already the contestant for one of the best looking games of the year. The sound assets of the game are nice as well. The weapons clashing sounds very realistic, music gives a nice atmosphere, and I especially love the voices of the heroes. These are just amazing. What probably surprised me the most is how well the game ran for the fact that it was a beta version, though probably very close to its release version since the game releases very soon. I've been getting about 120 FPS on full details in 1080p and I've experienced zero stuttering and zero crashes. The only issue was that occasionally the connection to Ubisoft servers was weird, either not connecting to servers or disconnecting me in game. But that's Ubisoft servers for you. Wish they got better ones. So, in conclusion, For Honor, even its beta form, is a very good game. The combat is fluid and skill based, and how the game looks, just plain amazing. For Honor is a very good choice for any consumer who enjoys skillful combat brawlers, or even for anyone who just enjoys the themes the game presents. But also remember, this review is based off a beta version, so some things may change in the release version, though I don't suspect much will change. Well, that's it for today guys. Hope you liked the review, and if you did, please consider liking it, subscribing to my channel for more gaming reviews, or commenting if you have something you would like to add. And if you didn't like the video, well, dislike it. See you all next time with more gaming content.